My husband vanished without a trace 15 years ago. It was as if he disappeared into thin air. The official investigation found nothing. Even a substantial reward produced no answers. And now, years later, I know the truth. And it is more horrifying than all the years of not knowing. It began as an ordinary workday. Arthur Vance was a successful farmer and co-owner of an agricultural supply store in Louisiana. In the fall of 1983, harvest season was at its peak, and one of his combines urgently needed replacement parts. Waiting days for delivery would have meant costly delays, so Arthur chose the fastest option available to him. He would fly to collect the parts himself. Arthur owned a blue and white Cessna 177 Cardinal and was an experienced private pilot. The route, from his private airstrip near Kilburn, Louisiana to Vicksburg, Mississippi, was familiar and short, taking less than an hour. There was nothing unusual about the decision. On the morning of November 4th, 1983, Arthur departed as planned. The outbound flight was uneventful. He landed in Vicksburg, completed paperwork, collected the combine parts, and prepared for the return trip. Several people interacted with him that morning and later recalled that he appeared pale and unwell. His movements were slow, his speech minimal. He made no complaints, and at the time, no one considered it significant. Between 10:30 and 11 a.m., Arthur took off for home. As his plane passed over a local school, a teacher and several students noticed the low-flying Cessna overhead. It was an ordinary sight and became the last confirmed visual observation of the aircraft in flight. Based on distance and speed, Arthur should have arrived home within 40 minutes. He never did. When the plane failed to appear by midday, concern slowly grew. By early afternoon, search efforts were underway. For 2 weeks, aircraft, emergency teams, and volunteers scoured forests, wetlands, fields, and waterways along the expected flight path. Every reported sound or sighting was investigated. Nothing was found. There was no wreckage, no debris, no oil slick, and no emergency transmission. The aircraft had not reappeared at another airport. It was as though the plane had simply vanished. Investigators explored every possibility: mechanical failure, disorientation, forced landing, even voluntary disappearance. None fit the evidence. Arthur had left behind his family, his business, and no signs of preparation to vanish. Eventually, the case was reclassified as an unexplained disappearance and archived. For 15 years, there were no answers. The investigation reopened. Inside the cockpit, Arthur's remains were found still seated at the controls. He had not attempted to escape. The combine parts he had collected were secured and undamaged in the cargo area, confirming that the flight had proceeded exactly as planned. The aircraft showed no signs of explosion, fire, or mechanical failure. The wreckage pattern suggested a controlled descent rather than a catastrophic crash. Investigators began to suspect sudden pilot incapacitation. The case was reassigned to Detective Leon Gilbert of the Louisiana State Police Cold Case Unit. During a detailed inspection of the cabin systems, forensic specialists discovered an anomaly beneath the pilot's seat. Inside an aluminum heating duct, they found a piece of cloth that did not belong there. Laboratory analysis revealed the cloth was saturated with methylparathion, a highly toxic agricultural pesticide commonly used in the early 1980s. When heated, the chemical released lethal fumes that could be absorbed through inhalation. The concentration was far beyond accidental exposure. Medical experts determined that Arthur would have experienced early poisoning symptoms during the outbound flight, explaining why witnesses saw him looking ill. When he activated the cabin heater on the return flight, the heat would have intensified the toxin, causing rapid loss of consciousness. The aircraft then flew on without active control. Motive and opportunity. Financial records revealed a critical detail. 1 month before Arthur disappeared, he discovered a large quantity of grain missing from storage. He initiated an internal audit. That audit threatened Clarence Reed, Arthur's farm manager. Records showed that 1 week after Arthur vanished, a company linked to Reed sold 200 tons of grain traced directly to Arthur's facilities. Shortly afterward, Reed resigned and experienced a dramatic increase in wealth. A former airport fuel attendant confirmed that on the morning of the flight, Reed accompanied Arthur to the airport. While Arthur filed paperwork, Reed was alone with the aircraft for several minutes, long enough to access the cabin. At Arthur's farm, investigators located an old pesticide container from 1983. Chemical analysis confirmed it matched the substance found in the aircraft. Electrical tape sealing the damaged lid preserved a partial fingerprint. The print belonged to Clarence Reed. The reconstruction investigators concluded that Reed placed a cloth soaked in methylparathion inside the aircraft's heating duct. The poison acted slowly at first, allowing Arthur to complete his tasks. Once the heater was activated mid-flight, the toxin became fatal. Arthur lost consciousness. The plane descended gently into flooded marshland, sank, and vanished beneath the water. The disappearance stopped the audit. Reed benefited. Justice delayed. Clarence Reed was charged with first-degree murder. In court, prosecutors presented financial records, witness testimony, chemical analysis, and fingerprint evidence, forming a single, cohesive narrative. The jury found him guilty. Reed was sentenced to life imprisonment. In a civil ruling, he was ordered to pay $950,000 in damages to Arthur Vance's family. In 2000, Arthur was finally laid to rest. What once seemed like an impossible disappearance was revealed as a carefully planned crime, hidden not by chance, but by time, water, and silence. Justice came late, but it came.